Roger once again, Mud Fossil University, and today almost at a lack of words, which will never occur. However, I have been talking in every time I make a post, somehow I fit in there about transition metals and the health, and how we have to find out what transition metals are in the body and where they're located and what colors they represent, and if the colors aren't correct, what that indicates for health. And today, bada boom, Marcus Campbell, a friend, sent me this saying, understanding how this stuff, thanks for helping me think outside the box. It reminds me of the rocks you've been discussing, and yes, it is. This is from Bristol Myers Squibb, and this is lung tissue. It says this image of a lung may look like a mosaic, but it holds information that informs cancer discovery. This is what I've been saying. If these colors aren't right, say that's black, that's not going to be good. Or if this is pink instead of green, you've got an issue here. These are the transition metals that really control your health. And these now, I think I finally put it together, because the lungs are loaded with them and the blood is loaded with them. However, the lungs, I think, are the regulator, and that, I think, is what's going on in the lungs. They regulate the amount of metals that are sent into the blood. Let me put it that way. There's some kind of like a little storage device, and inside here they say, all right, we need some green today. I get the green guys and send them out. Well, if the green guys aren't there, then you're in trouble. You say, well, what does the green guys do? Well, they stop the manganese from getting out of control. Well, what happened to them? Well, they died. Well, how they die? Well, maybe it was antibiotics. Maybe it was something else. Maybe the guy consumed too much alcohol. I don't know. But if that bacteria is not there to create the enzyme that creates the metals and regulates the metals, you're going to be sick. You're not going to have the correct quantities and colors and so forth. And that's what this has been all about. And this is, all of a sudden, looks to me like they're starting to understand this is how you can look inside your body. And I said, this here is off as a big mismatch, I got to be honest with you. But the heart and so forth is extremely, extremely specific in the colors and the areas of tissue that they represent. Now, this, you'd have to do some searching here and get a handle on how this exactly works in the lungs, because there's a lot of transition metals. There's almost 100 of them, and every one of them has to be accounted for, and every one of them has a job. I guarantee you, God did not throw a bunch of them in there just to rattle around, like they say, trace elements rattling around in the cells. Absolutely not. They have a job to do, and they need regulation, they need quantity, they need consistency, and they need the bacteria that does the job to create them. They do the same thing in wastewater treatment plants. They use bacteria to do that. They go out and harvest up the heavy metals. It's not something that's not understood. It's just not understood how it works in us. That's what I'm thinking. And I think they're starting to understand it now, but it's like pulling teeth. And there is no database that I know of exists, so that's what I've been asking for. And Squibb would be a wonderful place to have one done. All we need to know is fecal bacteria, count quantities, blood, everything that's in the blood, every single metal and mineral, count and quantity, and then a list of symptoms. Case closed. After a while, that database is going to yield a very specific diagnosis of what that person is missing or what has been damaged in his body, and so that he cannot control infections, bacteria, funguses, all that kind of stuff. And we can watch these funguses and bacteria and things being consumed in the body. There's a lot here that can be gleaned from this information once you understand transition metal roles. They carry everything around and pick everything up. That's all they do. Well, I mean, they do a lot more than that. But without those, you cannot transfer and you cannot pick up. That's what they do. Transition metals. They transition from a pickup to a delivery agent, like Uber drivers. All right, lungs come in many different sizes in the mud fossils. Now, you see what you're looking at there. This is a mud fossil lung. Now, you see, and I go to the side here and I let it gets shiny. All the shiny stuff is the crystals. The other part is where the blood runs through those crystals to pick up the metals and oxygen and so forth. But you see the different colors and things in here? That's what they're seeing here. Only, of course, this is not quite as pronounced because they're using ultraviolet lights and so forth to give the correct frequencies of light. But these are also lungs, and the same thing here. This is the kind of tissue we're talking about, and the colors they're extreme in lungs, absolutely extreme in some places. And of course, everybody that understands the mud fossils knows that there's giants on the earth, were on the earth, and some of the lungs were gigantic, and some of the little ponds and things that are seen are from the outflow of lung metals. You see that? That's an opalized lung. That's an opalized lung. They're opalized in blood, but that's lung tissue. That's why it's so colored like that. All right, this is the opalized heart, and you can see how extremely specific the ventricle walls are, and the blood and all the little blood metals and the heartstrings and so forth are extremely specific in color, and they're specific in color because they are specific types of tissue. And if that is a disease type of tissue, that color will not be the same. That's just the way chemistry is. If the chemistry is correct, the color will be correct. And see, these are some of the main major colors, but there's almost 100 transition metals, and I'm sure they all have their own specific hue or whatever because they reflect a certain type of light. That's why you see this. Now, you see these pluses and so forth. That means that they can attach and detach. That's what their job is. They carry things and deliver things in the body. That's why you see these colors, and that's why they are so prevalent in lungs. I had a hard time figuring that out, but boy, that's where they really are dense in these colors. And I'm going to show you a river that's actually made and is from lung tissue. That what will happen is in these rivers, the colors of the lungs show up in algae. And you say, oh, that's just algae. Well, that's right, because it's eating this stuff. That's what algae does. That's what I'm saying. It's like bacteria and algae. They do the same thing. All right, I'm just going to let this play. But you see this? This is algae growing in there. It doesn't grow red and green and yellow for nothing. These are all of the different lobes of lungs. I have plenty of lungs here that are very similar. See that? That's why those colors are there. Look at blue and green and yellow and red. That's what it's all about. And that's what this stuff here before was, all those holes in the river as the water's running down. That's what this is. A lung from a gigantic creature at some point. And all of these, all holes and so forth, same sort of stuff as that. And that is algae eating the different bacteria of the colored transition metal elements that are in there. Stunning, yes. Alright, before you start saying, oh, the guy's a nutcase, a river being that big and the lungs, or what a crazy guy. Well, let me tell you something, my good friend. This right here, I just put up this morning. It's called Stunning Recent Geological Research Discoveries on Mud Fossil University channel, and they are stunning, they are recent, and they are amazing. Now, I'm just showing this as I'm standing here myself. This is a dragon. And that is the dragon, and that is his tail, and I'm going to show down his little scales on his tail. Now, if you want to go and see this, which you should, but if you're laughing and saying, oh, this guy's a crazy guy talking about gigantic creatures, well, they were gigantic and they were incredible dragons, leviathans. So don't start laughing at me for talking about these gigantic things that do appear on the face of the earth. Just go on Google and there's the fish. So it's nothing that I'm making up. You go look yourself. Alright? The world is not what you're thinking, my friend. It's time to examine this. And it's about the health too. I mean, it's all about the health too. There's so much going on here that it's just too much to really get your head around within a minute or two. So sit down, take it easy. Go up and watch this. And this all drained off of here through Atlantis, which is the eye of the Sahara. It's a whole new universe.